In this part, I will introduce the Twitter harvest. The used language is Python 3.6, and I use two packages, CurtDB and TweetP. As you can see, there are a lot of parameters. The first four are Twitter APS tokens. They are used to access resources of Twitter. Then, interested city is used to get tweets that was sent in a certain city. And the last four are CurtDB's parameters. They make sure tweets are sorted in a correct database. Now I'm going to talk about challenges and solutions. First, we need to get tweet by city. To satisfy this requirement, I use two methods. GeoSearch returns a set of related location objects, which has unique ID. And the search method will use these IDs to get tweet that was sent in the location. However, search method returns a small number of tweets. To address it, I add max ID parameter and use the while true loop. For each iteration, I store all tweet IDs and get the minimum one. Use its value match 1 as the max ID in next iteration. When there is no tweets returned, the loop will break. In addition, I also store all tweets user ID and use user timeline and a filter to get correct tweets as much as possible. As for error toleration, firstly, the user doesn't need to worry about if the database exists. The program will create a database if this situation happens. Secondly, I also handle connection refuse error to make sure the program will run normally when the database is connected.
Hi, this video is to show the process of deployment of applications and analysis of the harvested data. First, we're going to show the process of creating instances and the deployment of Docker on Nectar. During the process of implementation, which may take 6 to 7 minutes, we will introduce some background knowledge and the logic of our implementation. Now let's do it. We're going to run this bash shell file and then execute it. Now you can see it's running. In this project, we build a cloud system using Ansible and Docker. We save the JSON data into the CouchDB cluster. Finally, a front-end web application is running by retrieving data from the CouchDB cluster. The Ansible is an automation tool to connect to different hosts to deploy configurations and applications. So you can see now the instance now has been created. Let's continue. This project, the difference is that we firstly need to make some instances on Nectar, and then the Ansible connected this host to deploy applications and Docker, and some other dependencies. So as for the details of the implementation, we're going to define some variables like image ID, instance name, and we also create security group and some like volume. We're going to create a volume here also. They are all placed in different roles to make the code more extensible and reusable. In total, we made 4 instances. Each instance attaches a volume and these security groups, and after it has been successfully created, each instance as well as each volume got a snapshot. You see here, snapshots. And at the end, the IP address will be placed in host file for later deployment, like for the use of Docker. Because execution of the Ansible place will take so long, about 6 to 7 minutes, we're gonna skip the process of building the rest. Now this will be implemented successfully. Yeah, you can see the instance 1, 2, 3, 4, they have been created successfully. Now we have finished this step. Okay, let me introduce some details about deploying an application on cloud. We can see the process will continue to install package for all instances. Okay, in this project, we use Docker utility for the cloud deployment, such as Docker Compose and Docker Swarm. The reason why we're using Docker to set up the automation of cloud deployment is that Docker is very effective and efficient in building an application, because now when you want to put your software on a machine, instead of having to write scripts and code to build a system, it automates the deployment that it will actually take all those applications inside a container and put them in the machine. Okay, we have 4 instances on the cloud, and in each of the instances, we have 3 applications as shown in the slide, which are 3 Docker containers, and one is the harvester, which is used for crawling data and analyzing data from Twitter, and the harvester also saves the JSON data to the CouchDB database. We implement the harvester on different instances to crawl different places of Twitter data. So we have data from Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and Brisbane. And when Docker is implemented for CodeGDB, we set up a CodeGDB cluster which connecting all nodes CodeGDB database. Firstly, we set up a Docker Swarm to connect all the nodes together, and then for each node, we write some scripts. We write some scripts and code to make a CodeGDB instance to join together as a cluster. While the cluster acts as a whole database to provide the storage service. Therefore, although one of the CodeGDB database failed, we still have other database members, so it won't cause the data loss to some extent. Now we can see the process is deploying the crawler fold, and the harvester is crawling the Melbourne. Okay, now we set up the second instance. Okay, finally we have a Docker for the use of web service. We also implement a web service cluster using the Docker Swarm. Each node has a web server, so it is robust that the system can tolerate failures. Well, the whole process takes about 10 minutes in total to install package and set up the system. We quickly skip this part and show the results. Okay, we finished the deployment. Okay, now let's have a look at our logs. This here shows our CodeGDB cluster is set up and all the nodes is joined together as a cluster. So we can have a look at, well, you can see here the harvester is crawling the place Brisbane, and we have another crawler to crawl place of Perth and Sydney and Melbourne. So okay, this shows our harvester crawling different places. Okay, let's have a look at our actual database. We can go ahead to the website and type file 984 to show our actual database look like. Okay, log into the database. Now, this is our actual database. We have different database for different purpose. Positive database and negative database store our analyzed data, which can directly be used from the web server to get data and display them on the website. Finally, the web server is ready. We can go ahead to the browser to look at our website.
Now let's have a look at our website. Our IP is 40, this one. Here it is. It's moved full screen so that we can see it clearly. There are basically 4 scenarios, which are rice analysis, pride analysis, and hashtag analysis. And we compare the data from rice and pride to the rental affordability index from Orin. And let's move on to the first part. Look at the map of Melbourne, and it's loading the data from CodeGDB, and we've calculated the rise rate every 15 minutes. And the wider the area is, the higher the rise rate is. And it is distributed by region. You can see the rise rate at the left. And let's move on the Melbourne rise distribution. There are 3 dimensions, which are happy, angry, and normal. For analyze, we can see now 13% people are very happy in Melbourne, and 33% are very angry. And we also compare the citywide statistics, which are Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, and Brisbane. We've got Sydney is like 9% higher rise rate than Melbourne, and Brisbane has the lowest rise rate, which is 62.8. Let's move on the second scenario, pride. This is the second scenario, which is pride. It's similar map by region, but with pride rates. The pink area are pride places. And how we calculate pride rates and the rise rates are detailedly explained in the report. They are basically on sentiment analysis and research. And from our analysis, 51% people in Melbourne are very humble, and only 18 of them are pride. And this is the pride of citywide. We can see Perth is the least pride city among these four, which has 62.8, and Sydney is also the most pride city of these four. Of our analyzed, Sydney is the most pride and the most rights city among these four cities. And let's move on the hashtag. We are very interested in what's the hot topic in Melbourne now. We can see Melbourne, of course, is one of the hottest program, as well as Oxford, the recent voting during the week. This is the top 13 in Melbourne are retrieved once per week. And we can see also Trump is a hot topic as well. And Avengers Endgame, the recent movie. And what the topics angry people care about. For example, hiring, because hiring is very annoying. And weak traffic, I can't agree more. And biohackers, oh my gosh, it's quite interesting to see these tags. And this is top 13 topics in Melbourne with white person. You can see the photo, selfie, cat, lost. They are the hashtags that pride person care about. And the last but not the least scenario, Orin data. This is downloaded from Orin, and you can choose from there to see Q2, Q3, Q4 of 2017. And this is how the RAI calculated. It's basically how you can pay your rental affordability index. And this is a map of comparison by RAI versus worst rate. And if you click the button, you can see different. For example, Cranbourne has income 121, but the loss rate is 16.7. And let's move on the pride rate versus RAI. The charter graph also shows no relation between these. And that's all for our scenario analysis. This is our team information, our teammate's name, and you can also access our GitHub through this link. Thank you for your listening. That's all.